Good day, all you Revit API developers. This is Chris with Valor VDC, and today I'd like to talk about getting mismatch processor warnings. Frankly, they really don't affect the way your software runs inside of Revit, but a warning is a warning, and they are quite annoying when you keep getting these in your pop-ups. So I'm going to show you how to go ahead and take care of these. First, before I do that, please don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe button and ring that bell for future notifications. Also, I'm going to place a link in the description for you to get a free trial to Writer if you're using Visual Studio and you'd like to try something different, something just a little bit more faster and a little bit more responsive. And if you are using Visual Studio with ReSharper, then you'll definitely notice a big difference in how Writer is basically ReSharper on steroids. There are a few quirks that you'll have to learn to work through, but I love Writer and I love the interface. And if you do get that trial, please let them know that Chris from Valor VDC sent you. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this. First, we're going to move into Visual Studio because that's what most people already use. So going into Visual Studio, you can see I just have a very basic, generic, blah, 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 Revit template set up that shows a message box when you click it. And when I go to build the solution, you'll see the build succeeded, but I got some warnings to go along with it. It's saying that there's a mismatch processor architecture between the MSIL processor architecture and the API and the Revit API x64 AMD, which pretty much means that Visual Studio is trying to build this for any PC, and the Revit API is trying to target the x64. And it's a very simple fix. I don't know why someone hasn't done this before or showed people how to do it, but you come up here to any PC, go to Configuration Manager, and do this drop down, and then hit New, and just change it to x64. And all it's going to do is it's going to copy the settings from the any PC, and then when you come up here and you hit Rebuild, it's going to say Rebuild succeeded, no errors. Wow, that's all done. It is just that simple, guys. There is a caveat to this, though. By changing it to x64, when you go into your debug menu here, so let's go into this little program here, go into bin. You go into the bin folder. Normally, when you debug, your DLL gets put here in the bin folder. But since we're doing the x64, it adds an extra step. It actually adds an x64 folder within your bug folder or bin folder. So if you go back here and you hit bin, and now you're going to see x64 debug, and now this is where your new DLL will be. So if you're using the Revit Manager, and you want to come in here and you want to load this bad boy up. Let's make sure I'm pulling in the right one. This is from Writer. So let me go to Source, Repos, Mix Match Processor, Bin, and x64 debug. Hit this DLL, come in here, hit run. You can see that my VS Code comes up and it says there's no warnings. And that's pretty much what this message box says, that there's no warnings. Now, for those of you who are interested in Writer and want to see what it looks like, well, Writer's the same way. And its debug is just set up a little differently. So what I had to do is originally it started with any PC. This is the release, but it's the same flow. You just come in here and you hit this down and you hit edit, but you would be debugged. You can see I already got debug 64. You just hit edit, and then you hit this and you edit it again, and all you got to do is type in X64 and then hit OK. And then now it's going to allow you to select that. So let me just go back here to hit debug. And that's pretty much it for Writer. It does the very same thing if I was to come in here and rebuild the solution. You can see this text box says Writer instead of Visual Studio. It says that there's no errors, and I can go back into Visual Studio, or not Visual Studio, Revit, and I go to the Add-in Manager, and now I can come down here and I can load it from Writer. Going through here, I also, in the bin folder, I get the X64 folder, and I get the debug folder, and I get this new DLL. And if I bring this in here, let's make sure I pull the right one in, and I run it, it says Writer, no warnings. So that's pretty much it for both platforms, Visual Studio and Writer. That's one way you can get rid of those warnings so you don't get those annoying pop-ups every time you build your solution, and it doesn't keep adding it to your warnings list. As I said before, please don't forget to hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe and ring that bell for notifications. And if you really want to try out Writer, I have included a link in the description. As I've said before, please let them know you heard it from me.